This is a Fox 12 podcast.
Welcome to Beyond the Broadcast, the podcast where we're diving deep into the top stories that our team here at Fox 12 have been working on. I'm investigative reporter Spencer Schott, and this week I'm joined by fellow investigative reporter Ward Jollis. Now, Ward, tell us a little bit about this story where you really won't believe what's going to happen to these kids in a very local school district.
Well, this is a really crazy story. First of all, it starts with something pretty crazy in the first place, and that is that about 50 sixth grade students at Fowler Middle School in Tigard, so this is the Tigard-Tualatin School District, were served pretzels sprinkled with oven cleaner instead of salt. Now, the school district said it was a mistake, and after the fact, we wanted to know what exactly happened that led up to this, and what we found was very enlightening.
Perfect. Let's take a look at what you found.
Frustrated, angry, irritated, and honestly hurt.
For Fowler Middle School parent Kaylee Spearing, that frustration comes from October 20th, when her son was one of more than 50 students who ate pretzels sprinkled with oven cleaner instead of salt, many experiencing burning in their mouths, tingling, and headaches.
So I send my kids to school thinking it's going to be safe, and that day showed that it wasn't.
Fast forward to November 12th, the district says they hired an outside attorney to investigate, and the attorney concluded that a kitchen worker left granulated oven cleaner on a counter over the weekend, and it was mistaken for salt the following Monday.
This is like a kind of mistake that can't happen twice.
But Chloe Larson, who was working as a substitute kitchen staff member on the day of the incident, says there's more to the story. She says it all started when some students at lunch complained about pain after eating pretzels, which many of them shared.
They described that it felt like they had these things in their throat and their mouth.
Larson says she and another staff member then tried the salt that was applied to the pretzels, and that's when she realized it wasn't salt at all. She sought out the person who seasoned the pretzels, the kitchen's lead staff member, a woman who has worked in the district for 17 years.
It was the only thing in the garbage can, was this small gray package, and she got it out, and it just says oven cleaner.
Larson snapped a photo of the packaging, showing a clearly labeled Alto Shim oven cleaner bag, which usually contains one oven cleaner tablet, not meant to be crushed up as it was on the day of the incident. We purchased the same type of oven cleaner used in the incident to see how it compares to salt. They come in little packets that look like this, and inside each packet is a puck, which you can see there. Now, the pucks are pretty hard. The school district's narrative is that the staff member involved crushed this puck up into a granulated powder. And it was this powder that the staff member mistook for salt.
I just said, we need to get the kids to stop eating this right now. And the lead said that she thought that they were already finished eating it by now. And so I just turned and walked right out to the cafeteria.
Larson says she had to take the pretzels away from the kids herself. By then, many were experiencing pain and other symptoms. She also says when an administrator came by to see what was happening, the lead kitchen staff member told them that she had accidentally put soap on the pretzels.
Hi, this is Officer Polson with Tigard Police. Hi. How can I help you?
Body cam video obtained by Fox 12 shows that Larson also contacted the school's resource officer, Nyla Paulson, about the incident just 2 days later to report her suspicions about what happened.
Yeah. Are you able to tell me if this is already being investigated?
Yeah, it is. Did you do this on purpose?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Less than 30 minutes after her conversation with Larson, SRO Paulson called the lead kitchen staff to ask her about what happened.
Am I in trouble legally?
I mean, not on my end. I'm not doing anything. This is kind of what shook down on my end is because so many parents were calling. My boss said, hey, you need to take a report on this.
Records show the officer didn't investigate any further and closed the case that same day. Tigard police told us without kitchen video or photos, they couldn't meet the threshold for probable cause. And while the school district says an attorney interviewed 7 staff members in their investigation, there was one person noticeably missing. Did anyone from the school ever contact you about their investigation?
Afterward? No.
The school district denied an interview and maintains the incident was human error. They also confirmed that the staff member who put the oven cleaner on the pretzels still works in the school kitchen. But parents like Kaylee Spearing say they've been left in the dark, and that while the incident may be closed on paper, questions about how it was handled are not.
Let them know we're fixing this. The person's going to get termed. It's just that simple.
Ward Jollis, Fox 12 Oregon.
So one thing that stood out to me after watching that is we actually went out and bought this oven cleaner, and you brought some with us today.
Yes.
Here, let me see that package of...
Absolutely.
It's pretty obvious, like right on the package on the front, it says danger, harmful if swallowed, may be harmful if it comes in contact with skin.
Mm-hmm.
So as you were working with this, at any point while you were filming your stand-up there, did you look down and think like, oh yeah, that could be salt?
I think it's difficult to say because, you know, you're not in the room at the time that this happens. I will say one of the things that is very noticeable that maybe the viewers can't see from us just talking and holding this right here is not only is this very clearly labeled, but this is a pretty hard item.
It's like a hockey puck in a bag.
Yeah, they come in like, I mean, this is about, I mean, it's pretty large. I mean, it's a couple inches wide, it's circular, it's flat. And I wish we could, I mean, it almost like has a sound to it. You know, like I'll open it up and show everybody what it looks like, although you're really not supposed to touch this with your hands, so I'll have to be kind of careful with it. But yeah, like that is kind of what we're talking about. I would almost compare it in a way for people who are familiar with like a large sweet tart, right? Like,
I was going to say it looks like a urinal cake. And
Yeah,
that's not something I would think of to put on food.
Absolutely. Okay, so, and one thing, and I think this is really important, it's one of those things where it's like we have, you know, only a few minutes to tell a story like this on TV. And so this is one of those stories where there's a lot going on behind the scenes as well. One of the things, too, that I found, which was really interesting about this, is that when the school district originally told parents what was happening, right, they told parents that, first of all, there was about 30, I think they said 37 students had eaten pretzels with oven cleaner and that they contacted poison control immediately, right? So we began to look into this and realized that not only were both of those things not true, but they were the school district was being intentionally misleading, it seems, into what actually happened in order to protect the identity of this staff member. So, I mean, the staff member who put the oven cleaner on the pretzels, we're not naming her because she has not been criminally charged, as we mentioned in the story, but she actually originally, and this is what the school district says, took the oven cleaner out on the Friday before this happened, and then the actual poisoning, if you will, happened on Monday. So the school district's narrative is that on the Friday, at the end of the school week, she took out one of these little granulated, or I should say, one of these pucks of oven cleaner and then crushed it up into a granulated powder and intending to clean the oven for whatever reason. It is worth noting that this is a product you're not supposed to crush up. They are put in whole, kind of like a pod that you would put in a dishwasher or, you know, your laundry. So that's still one question that's never really been answered, is why exactly she was crushing up the puck in the first place. But regardless, the school district says that she took the oven cleaner tablet, crushed it up, put it on the counter intending to clean the oven on a Friday. And then the following Monday, it was mistaken for salt. Okay. That is what the school district told families. Now, what the school district did not tell families is that it was the same person in both scenarios that crushed it up on the Friday and put it on the pretzels on the Monday, right? They just said a staff member saw this, and then on the following Monday, a staff member saw this and thought it was salt and put it on the pretzels. They have never told parents to this day that this was the same person that took it out on Friday and put it on the pretzels on Monday.
And you mentioned in the story that you had to FOIA or Freedom of Information Act request video, request documents. Is there not a camera in the cafeteria or in the kitchen of the school?
So the police department says no, that there is not, right? I've never been in this school cafeteria to say definitively if that's true. But the issue is that, you know, once we started submitting public records requests, everything that you just saw is a very small portion of what the full investigation looks like, because the school district simply will not turn over their records, right? They're saying that is because they have been threatened with legal action. And because of that their investigative records, what they actually found when they went in and investigated with their attorney, is protected because it could be used as evidence in court, right? So most of the evidence we got actually came from the Tigard Police Department and their report. And the reason that we were able to get that so easily is because, like you just saw in the video, the investigation was so limited. I mean, there was this tip from the staff member who said all these things happened. And then there was the follow-up interview a few minutes later with the lead kitchen staff member asking, did you do this on purpose? She says, absolutely not. And then that was case closed. The school resource officer from Tigard Police, she never continued the investigation after that. It was over. And to this day, the police department says that's because they did not have photos and videos from inside to establish probable cause to charge anyone with a crime. And so essentially it's her word against the lead kitchen staff member.
And I'm glad you brought up that question, that very pointed question that you put in the package of, did you do this on purpose?
Mm-hmm.
And the knee-jerk reaction from the staff member to say, oh, absolutely not, automatically on the defensive end of it. But is there any more investigation that went into it beyond 2 interviews?
No, and in fact, that was one of the things that was so interesting to me. So I originally submitted a request to the school district for their records. They came back to me with almost a blanket denial saying they couldn't because they were being sued. What they could give me was the internal communications that they had sent out to families and staff about what had happened, right? They weren't able to give me their investigative details, but they were able to give me communications. In that communication, I was able to find this police report, and then I went and hunted it down from Tigard PD. Now, what you saw in that story, the body cam video, it's actually really funny, but Tigard PD did not want to give me that body camera video at first, right? In fact, I submitted a request similar to how I did with the school district, and they said, no, we can't give this to you. My question was, why, if I already have the report and I know what the details are, and this is a closed case? So theoretically, in journalism 101, media law, you know that when a case is closed, that evidence becomes public knowledge. So you can request it, right? Well, for some reason, Tigard PD would not give it to me, and that was kind of my first what's going on here? And then their argument for not giving us the records is that this would not be in the public interest. Okay. So we kind of had to push a little bit with our internal sources over there and then with our attorneys to be like, how is 30 plus children being served pretzels sprinkled with oven cleaner in a public school not in the public interest? Especially because we had already confirmed with the school district at that point that the staff member was still working there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the pushback actually led to them releasing the records. So it was really interesting. We got a much fuller picture of what happened. And then we were also able to get the interviews from the body camera.
So give our viewers an idea of the timeline of when we first heard about these pretzels to how long it took for the video and all these other information to be released.
This happened in October, right? So we're talking several months before. I submitted our original request 2 weeks after the incident happened to see, what they discovered, right? I asked for their investigative details. I got a response back, I want to say sometime in January. So it took a while. And then that was only a very limited scope. That's what the school district gave me. But from the communications, I then saw the police report and then was able to turn around and request the police report. And then after that, I requested the body cam video mentioned in the police report, and then they denied it, and there was a fight. And I mean, all of this took months of compiling, right? I mean, this was not a simple records request and get something back. We had to do a lot of digging and pushing and even paying for some of this stuff, right? Another thing too in Oregon that they can do is they can charge you for some of these documents and videos. The Tigard Police Department charged us $100 for those body camera videos, right? After they had already told us we couldn't have them. And then we pushed and they were like, okay, you can have them, but you have to give us $100. So there was, I don't want to say clearly some level of pushback because they are allowed to charge, but you could tell from the people that we were speaking with in the school district and at the police department that they weren't exactly happy that these records were going to be coming out because, again, I mean, the parents and the families of these children were not told the full scope of what happened, right?
And you sat down with one parent. How many parents or how many families were you able to reach out to, have conversations with throughout this whole process?
Many. In fact, I would say at least 5. There were many parents that wanted to get this information. And a lot of this was touching base with these families and asking them, what has the school district told you? Have you heard anything? And most of them are completely in the dark, including the one that we interviewed. Only one family was willing to do an interview on camera, because obviously they still have children that go to school in the school district. But it was very enlightening to hear from a lot of them, hearing that their children are now scarred from what has happened. I mean, obviously, this is a chemical we're talking about. This is not meant to be eaten. It has danger labels on it. Even contact with the skin can burn.
And
so,
then you think of the psychological
absolutely.
impact of it.
These kids don't eat lunch anymore at school, right? They don't. They have not eaten a school lunch since this happened.
Yeah.
And so there is a both physical, immediate damage that is done by ingesting this chemical, but then there's also the long-term mental impact that these children have now that they have gone through this. These are sixth graders. They've got a good ways left to go in school. And so, many of them won't eat school lunch again. And so we were just astounded to hear that the school district had still employed this employee after this had happened. I always take it back to, regardless if, this is intentional or not, right? We're not here to speculate. We're not here to say, oh, someone did this on purpose. Maybe they didn't. Maybe it was an accident. I think the biggest thing with this story is accountability, because the school district in particular did not give a full narrative to parents of what actually happened. And that was a big problem for a lot of the families that we spoke with. They still to this day feel like they've been left in the dark, and their kids are still suffering the damage from what had happened. So
with these families, you mentioned possible lawsuits. That's why they weren't releasing information that you've public record requested. Have any of those lawsuits come to fruition?
So it's that's actually a really interesting question, because, one of the first things that we do as journalists when we're told something like, oh, here's a reason that we can't give you these records, right, is we go and check, right? Because we're like, okay, if there's a lawsuit going on, we want to know about that, right? Like, who's threatening to sue the school district? And what in Oregon, typically, if you're going to sue an entity like a school district or, any sort of public entity, you're going to file a tort claim, right? Which is essentially just a legal document that says, hey, I am going to sue you, and here's why. And it essentially jumpstarts a lawsuit. So the one thing about tort claims is that they're filed online and they are public. So anyone theoretically should be able to go and check them and be like, oh, this is who is suing the school district. Well, regardless of that, after the school district told us we can't because of legal action, we could not find any claims online any tort claims that the school district was currently being sued by any family. Nothing had been filed.
So you're telling me that after all of this time where they're saying we might get sued, we can't give you information, at the end of the day, they haven't been sued yet?
Yeah, at least when this story was published, we had found no evidence of any lawsuit actually being filed, right? That tort claim notice that says, hey, we are suing you and this is the start of the process in court had never been filed. They only had a letter threatening legal action that had been sent to the district a couple days after it had happened. So we're talking months after this had happened. The school district still was not being sued, but they were letting that threat, that simple letter that they received, prop up their case as to why they could not turn over their investigative details, right? They were like, we can't give you any of the information we have on what we found because that may be used as evidence in court and therefore it's protected.
So no lawsuit filed, no tort claim filed. All they had was a letter saying, we might sue you.
Yes, basically. That is what they had, and that is what they are arguing is the reason they cannot give us this stuff. And so theoretically, a year from now, if we were to go and request the same thing, it would be like, well, we received this one letter saying we might be sued a couple days after. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, it's a little bit strange that they were to prop up their entire denial on that, but because they're keeping everything to themselves, we have no reason to doubt them.
There's not an expiration date on that letter that says we might sue.
No. I think that there is an actual, I want to say it's 6 months in Oregon, but I have to look into it. But there is a time frame that someone can sue for something that happened. It's kind of like statute of limitations, if you will. Like, I can't all of a sudden sue for something that happened years ago, right? But as of the date of this publication, there had not been a lawsuit filed. So it's interesting. I mean, they're running out of time, essentially, to file a tort claim, these parents, if they were to sue the school district. As of now, I'm not aware if that's happened, but as of the publication of the story, like, there had been no lawsuit filed against the district about this.
Did any of the families you talked to say they were going to sue the school?
No. In fact, a lot of them don't want to sue because, well, first of all, it's costly, and they see taking on a school district as a big challenge. Second of all, they didn't know any of these details before the story was published, right? I mean, this was a shock to many people, all of this behind-the-scenes stuff that families just were not told about. And then there was another thing, too, is that a lot of these families who have their children in Fowler or in the Tigard Tualatin School District, not only do they fear retaliation, but they can't just upend their lives and move to a different school district. You know, that costs money. There's all these different barriers, right, that kept a lot of these families from filing any legal action.
Yeah, so we're almost here out of time, but let us know, where do we go from here? What is left for these families as, like you said, they're continuing to go to this school? It's expensive to change school districts to move. How do you make sure that your kid is still comfortable going back to school?
Yeah, well, I will say that after our pressure from this story and from the attorneys, the school district did send us a very comprehensive list of steps they have now taken to make sure that this kind of thing doesn't happen again, as far as like labeling goes and proper storage of chemicals and food and things like that. They've done increased training for lots of employees. So the school district has taken some steps to make sure this does not happen again. As for the woman involved in this story, obviously she was the lead kitchen staff. She'd worked there for 17 years. She, at last check, does still work in the school district, although there is one slight update. She does not work in the kitchen anymore. So that is an interesting update that we received a couple days after our story aired. But still, I mean, there's still a lot of unanswered questions here. I mean, for example, you have one witness, you know, our whistleblower type figure who we spoke with, who was in the kitchen at the time, was never interviewed by anyone. She had to take it upon herself to contact police and be like, hey, I saw all of these things. Please investigate this. The police department said, yeah, we are investigating it. And then 30 minutes later, the case was closed. So it's very interesting how things are still kind of left open-ended. But there have been some changes since this story aired and since this happened. So we can't deny credit where credit is due, right?
Mm-hmm. They looked into it, but not as deeply as some parents would want them to.
Absolutely. But, I mean, yeah, parents wanted action. I mean, you could hear in that story that one parent we spoke with was like, I want to see this person terminated. You know, the way she said, the way she put it is, if this had happened at a McDonald's down the road and a staff member at McDonald's had accidentally poisoned 50 people with, you know, French fries that were seasoned with oven cleaner instead of salt, that person undoubtedly probably would have been fired, right?
Yeah.
Or the greater public would expect that to happen. And so the fact that this happened in a school kitchen to sixth graders, we later found out, of course, you know, like I said, the school district originally said 37 students were poisoned. It actually ended up being 50 or more. This woman still worked there afterwards. She was not terminated. So I think that frustrated a lot of parents. They didn't really understand why. And I'm sure there's some stuff behind the scenes that we just simply don't know about because, again, the school district won't tell us of why they protected this woman so fiercely afterwards. But yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting question as to what exactly that decision-making process looked like.
Yeah, well, Ward, thank you for following this story, and thank you for watching and listening to Beyond the Broadcast. Be sure to tune back in next week where we'll have another pair of reporters digging into a story that they've been working on. See you next time.
This has been a Fox 12 podcast. For more content like this, download the Fox 12 app to your phone or any connected device, like your Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, or Smart TV.